When the alien woman looked at the human man, she knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Zephyra stood ankle-deep in mud, blinking at the smoking wreckage of her diplomatic cruiser and the human man staring at her like she was either a miracle or a hallucination caused by bad cheese. She shifted her weight, adjusted her fractured translator necklace, and took a deep breath. "Do you know where I can find?" She paused, consulted the translation chip flickering at the base of her throat. An interstellar mechanic and/or something called a venti cold foam mocha? The man just stared. He had a leaf in his hair. Zephyra resisted the impulse to pluck it off. Elisari customs frowned upon unsolicited grooming, though some part of her felt oddly compelled to fuss over him. Strange, since she just crashed onto a backwater planet she'd only read about in fourth-tier diplomatic briefings. Earth, blue, mostly water, low threat unless provoked with reality TV. He blinked. Hi?" The necklace buzzed. "Greetings, Universal Moisture Pouch." "That's not what I said. Auto-correction error. Adjusting sarcasm filters." The man took a cautious step forward. "Are you okay? You just fell out of the sky." "I did not fall. I descended rapidly and ungracefully due to unexpected gravitational enthusiasm. So a crash. Let's not dwell on semantics." They both stared at the smoking crater behind her. Zephyra winced as a panel from her cruiser popped off and flopped into the mud with a mournful squawk. "I'm David," he said after a moment. "David Collins." Zephyra tilted her head, ears flicking forward with curiosity. They were long and graceful, curling slightly at the tips like organic antennae. She noticed his gaze dart toward them, then away, then back again, like someone trying not to stare at an unusually stylish hat. "Zephyra," she said. "Ambassador Class Liaison, Third Moon Orbit, Sector 6, temporary vessel operator due to budget reallocations." "Cool. That, all fits on your name tag?" "I ran out of embroidery thread." He rubbed the back of his neck, clearly trying to process her ears, her clothes, still partially smoldering from re-entry, and her general existence. She watched his thoughts flicker across his face. Surprise, confusion, mild admiration, and the distinct realization that he was still wearing novelty socks that read Hot Dog Champion 2019. She pointed. "Do you often wear competitive sausage-themed footwear?" He looked down. "Laundry day." "Your planet is full of mysteries." He laughed, but it came out nervous and thin. "Okay, are you in danger? Is someone coming after you?" "Yes, but I have at least 3 minutes before anyone truly horrifying arrives." David's smile dropped. "Wait, what?" Zephyra pulled a small orb from her hip belt. It unfolded with a pop and began scanning the area with rapid flashes of blue light. "Standard response window from planetary authorities. Your species' law enforcement seems to think UFO crash is a hoax about 20% of the time and a tailgating opportunity the rest." He stared at the orb. "Is that a drone?" "No, it's a multi-environmental spectroscanner with a Bluetooth speaker." A tinny voice burst from the device. "Now playing Earth Mood Playlist, Track 1 Suspicious Minds by Elvis Presley." Zephyra sighed and tapped the orb until it shut up. "It has opinions." David opened his mouth to respond, but then a low hum vibrated through the ground beneath them. Zephyra's ears twitched. "Incoming." "Police? No. Worse. My people." From the sky, a crackling portal shimmered open, casting lavender light across the treetops. A shimmering triangular craft began descending. It rotated slowly, and as it did, the Elisari emblem gleamed from its underbelly, a spiral nested within an eye. David took a step back. "Okay, nope, this is above my pay grade. I don't even have a pay grade." Zephyra turned to him. "You're not in danger, not unless they smell confusion or grilled cheese. They are weirdly fond of lactose-based diplomacy. I had cheese toast like 20 minutes ago." Zephyra grabbed his wrist. "Then we run." They bolted through the trees, her long strides offset by his occasional stumbles. Twigs snapped, birds screamed. Something in the distance moved with interdimensional reverb. "Why are we running from your own people?" he shouted. "They're not. Entirely my people. The High Tribunal has factions, politics, cloaks. One of them believes the prophecy is at risk." David puffed. "What prophecy?" She didn't answer. They burst into a clearing where an old playground sat in eerie disuse. Rusted swings creaked in the wind. Zephyra darted toward the slide and yanked open a hatch hidden in its base. "Why is there a secret door in a slide? Why are your public structures not weaponized?" Fair, inside the cramped space was a console of alien metal flickering with unreadable symbols. Zephyra slammed her palm. The wall shimmered, revealing a projection, a star chart overlaid with glowing runes. One was pulsing in rhythm with David's heartbeat. He stared. Okay, I've watched enough movies to know that's not good. It's not bad either. It means you are resonant. With what? Space? Stars? Existential dread? Me. The silence was sharp. She turned slowly, her expression unreadable. When I first saw you, something activated. I thought it was an allergic reaction, but it's not. It's something deeper. An echo. David looked at the projection again. You're saying I'm part of some kind of space destiny? She hesitated. You ever hear of the cohesion eclipse? Sounds like a band that plays at weddings and black holes. It's real, and you may be the key to it, to saving Elisari Prime. He sat down hard on the floor. Lady, I'm not even the key to my apartment. The hatch above them rattled. Voices filtered down, musical, echoing, urgent. Zephyra touched his shoulder. I need you to trust me, just a little. Just enough to run when I say run and duck when I say duck. He looked into her eyes, violet with flecks of something shifting like galaxies. Okay, he whispered, but only if you promise to explain what the heck a cohesion eclipse actually is. She smiled. Deal. But first we run again. Above them, the slide exploded. The stolen van rattled like a shopping cart full of fireworks as it barreled down the service road, a half-empty Slurpee sloshing in the cup holder, and a faint trail of smoke curling from the rear left tire. David clutched the steering wheel with the grim determination of someone who had learned to drive by watching action movies and playing too much Mario Kart. Zephyra sat in the passenger seat with one foot on the dashboard, calmly calibrating a cylindrical device that hummed with faint, ultraviolet pulses. You're sure they won't trace us through this thing? David gestured at the alien tech she was fiddling with. Not unless they're using third-generation wave triangulation paired with crystalline logic nodes, which would be extremely illegal under the Galactic Accord of... Oh. She paused. They probably will. Great. But they'll be at least 12 minutes behind, maybe 13 if we hit traffic. It's 3 a.m. You Earth people say that as though night negates congestion. Your nocturnal delivery fleets are appalling. David's eyebrows knitted. You've been here before? Zephyra tapped her long ears, which twitched in minor annoyance. 3 times. Once for diplomacy, once for extraction, once because I got very lost trying to follow a music signal labeled Smooth Jazz Volume 19. I still don't understand what a Kenny G is. David snorted. Neither do we. She leaned back, watching the blur of trees pass through the cracked window. You have questions. Just a couple dozen, he said. Let's start small. What exactly does resonant mean? Am I glowing? Am I dying? Is this some sci-fi version of mono? You are not dying. Your biosignature harmonizes with a frequency predicted by the ancient Elisari star charts. They described a human with very average hair and a nervous laugh. He glanced at her. You're making that up? Only a little? The van hit a pothole, sending a loud thunk through the cabin. Zephyra gripped the handlebar. This vehicle is deeply unwell. Yeah, it's technically a taco truck. I stole it from a guy who fell asleep watching curling. What is a taco? He blinked. You've been to Earth 3 times and you don't know tacos? I assumed it was a weapon. Sometimes, he muttered. They reached an overpass and pulled underneath where David killed the engine. Zephyra popped open the device, revealing a tiny floating sphere of light that began scanning the air with a soft ping ping ping. Scanning for what? He asked. Pursuit signatures. Atmospheric disruptions, rogue molecules. Also, I told it to look for places that sell coffee. David leaned against the steering wheel. So let me get this straight. There's a prophecy that says some random human will be connected to your planet's fate through a thing called the cohesion eclipse. You crash here, spot me, and go, yep, it's him? There was also a glow, a faint one, around your temporal chakra. I don't have a chakra. That's what someone with a very overworked chakra would say. He groaned. You aliens are all insane. Zephyra shrugged. You people microwave cheese and wear pants in public. David opened his mouth to argue, but closed it again. Okay, valid. The scanner beeped twice. Zephyra frowned. They're getting closer. Define they. Agents of the tribunal, specifically Operative Valus. He's got a titanium spine and the personality of a broken vending machine. So like my dentist. She flicked a switch on the scanner. A hologram of a gaunt Elisari male with pinched features and disturbingly symmetrical eyebrows appeared, rotating slowly. David leaned in. Okay, I see the spine thing. What's with the cape? Cape envy. Most Elisari men suffer from it. It's a tragic side effect of planetary ego inflation. Does he want to kill me? No, just extract your essence, erase your memories, and possibly implant a control crystal in your molars. So yes. Zephyra looked out the windshield. We need help. David tapped his temple. I have a cousin, tech guy, runs a weird podcast called Aliens Ate My Chicken Coop. If anyone knows how to hide from space operatives, it's him. Perfect. Let's find your cousin. You're not gonna like him. I already like you and you eat cold pizza for breakfast. My standards have plummeted. The van sputtered to life again and rolled out from under the bridge. They took back roads and side streets, the city lights bleeding into a strange, drowsy glow. Zephyra kept one eye on the scanner, which occasionally made passive-aggressive sighing sounds when they turned too sharply. 2 hours later, the driveway of a cabin that looked like it had once been a barn, then a meth lab, then a thrift store, and finally decided to give up and just be weird. Neon lights blinked from the windows. A solar panel sat on the roof, pointed in entirely the wrong direction. A man in a bathrobe opened the door before they even knocked. "Davy!" he shouted, arms wide. "You brought a space elf! I knew it!" Zephyra blinked. "I am not an elf." "Sure you aren't," the man said. "Name's Ronnie. Come in. Don't touch the hamster. He bites anyone with unresolved trauma." Zephyra stepped over a cardboard cutout of an alien autopsy. David gave her a look that said, "I told you so." Ronnie's lab consisted of a recliner, 6 monitors, a jar of pickles, and what looked like a stolen government satellite dish wired to a blender. "So," Ronnie said, flopping into his chair, "what flavor of galactic danger are we in today?" Zephyra explained quickly, interspersed with visual projections and a brief musical interlude when her translation device confused resonance with barbershop quartet. Ronnie whistled. "Elisari, I thought they were extinct. We got better. And this cohesion eclipse? Sounds spicy. You really think Davy's the chosen one?" "I don't choose, the prophecy does." "Then the prophecy's got a twisted sense of humor." David threw up his hands. "Why is everyone acting like I'm a walking cosmic joke?" "Because you are," Ronnie and Zephyra said in unison. The scanner pinged again. Zephyra's ears stiffened. "They found us." Ronnie jumped up. "We'll cloak the house, but the bathroom's going to turn inside out again." David froze. "Wait, again?" Zephyra grabbed his hand. "Come on, we still have time, but not much. You need to see something beneath Earth." "Beneath?" She nodded. "Buried in your planet's crust, the remnants of a temple tied to the first resonance. It'll explain, well, not everything, but enough to terrify you appropriately." He said, "I miss when my biggest problem was running out of coffee." Ronnie tossed him a thermos. "Welcome to the deep end, Davy. Try not to drown in destiny." The elevator was not supposed to exist. David stared at the rust-covered control panel, which had buttons labeled with symbols that looked vaguely like interpretive dance poses and smelled faintly of cinnamon. Zephyra pushed one decisively. The floor shook, the walls shimmered, and the elevator began descending at a speed David could only describe as existentially inappropriate. "I thought you said the entrance to this ancient alien temple was in a cave system," he muttered, gripping the railing. "I said it was beneath your planet's crust. You assumed cave. That's your fault." "There was a raccoon in the tunnel. I assumed a lot of things." Zephyra gave him a sideways glance. "You screamed like it was a venomous sand beast." "It had hands, Zephyra. Hands. No animal needs that many fingers." The elevator lights flickered as they plummeted past striations of rock that occasionally pulsed with faint blue light. A humming began to rise around them, like the echo of someone tuning a theremin with bad intentions. David tightened his grip. "How far down does this go?" "Technically, it doesn't go down. It bends space and relocates us laterally through folded dimensions until we emerge at a secure node." "So we're not even underground?" "Oh, we're underground. We're just also inside out." The elevator dinged. The doors slid open with a reluctant shrunk, revealing a corridor that looked like someone had hired a minimalist architect and then told them, "Make it weirder." David stepped out cautiously. "I feel like I'm walking into a high-budget music video." Zephyra strode ahead. This temple predates your written history. Some believe it's where the first interspecies resonance was discovered. Others believe it's a really elaborate prank left by bored cosmic engineers. And you think I'll find answers here? I think you'll find enough confusion to inspire meaningful questions. Close enough. They reached a vast chamber where the air shimmered like heat off a summer road. At the center stood a dais shaped like a blooming flower, and on it, hovering slightly above the platform, was a crystal sphere emitting a slow pulse of violet light. David approached warily. That's not going to explode or give me space rabies, right? No promises. Comforting. He touched it. There was a sound like a choir gasping. Light exploded outward in silent rings, washing over the room. Images bloomed in midair. Galaxies, collapsing stars, strange creatures with long limbs and eyes like nebulae. Then came the faces, Elisari, humans, others, all of them linked by strands of light. The crystal whispered. Words filtered directly into David's brain. The cycle echoes. The bond is chosen. The resonance blooms when two are one. David blinked. That wasn't helpful. Zephyra tapped her temple. It's symbolic or malfunction, or both. Another voice followed, older and less poetic. Subject, Human 1173Z. Designation, David Collins. Viability, 78%. Emotional capacity, 62%. Stubbornness, 10%. David frowned. Okay, rude. Potential as cohesion conduit, confirmed. Warning, partner compatibility assessment in progress. Zephyra stiffened. They're testing the bond. David looked around. Right now, processing emotional reciprocity, hormonal congruence, empathy loop integrity. Zephyra cleared her throat. Don't look directly at the floating hearts, that's a side effect. David turned. 3 translucent pink hearts were hovering over his head, one of them spinning like a confused frisbee. Do all Elisari temples do dating diagnostics? Only the ones tied to galaxy-saving rituals. The sphere pulsed again. This time it emitted a hologram of David and Zephyra dancing on top of what looked suspiciously like a moon, while spectral confetti rained from the void. A banner unfurled over their heads. Preliminary match, 94%, please proceed to stage 2. David squinted. What's stage 2? Zephyra hesitated. Usually, a kind of ritual entanglement involving neural syncing, trust exercises, and if the situation is particularly dire, physical affection. David turned pink. Define dire. A planetary extinction-level event is fairly dire. Before he could argue, the temple ceiling opened like a mechanical iris. Above them, stars glittered in unnatural positions. A spiral of light coiled downward, wrapping around them in warm, pulsing strands. David's breath caught. That's actually kind of beautiful. It's preparing us for the merge. Wait, merge? Like brain merge? Or other merge? It's mostly brain. Mostly? She smirked. Unless you want more. David coughed. I'll, stick with brains for now, thanks. The strands tightened, lifting them an inch off the floor. Information began to flood David's mind. Memories not his, languages he'd never heard, images of Elisari cities that shimmered like coral reefs in the sky. Emotions rolled through him. Pride, fear, loneliness, wonder. Zephyra's voice echoed inside his thoughts. You're handling this better than most. The last human we tried this with tried to marry a vending machine. You tried this before? It didn't take. He couldn't stop crying when the soda selection changed. David's laugh echoed across both minds. The sphere glowed brighter and a new projection appeared, this one showing Elisari Prime. The planet shimmered, then darkened. Clouds thickened. Cracks split across continents. A message followed. Elisari Prime, stability threshold below critical. Energy synchronization required. Time remaining 87 hours. Zephyra's mental tone shifted. We don't have much time. The eclipse is approaching. If we can't complete the resonance by then, David filled in the rest. Your planet dies. The sphere dimmed, the lights faded, the strands dissolved. David collapsed to his knees, panting. That was like doing yoga inside a supernova. Zephyra crouched beside him. The connection is stronger than we thought, but there's resistance. He looked up. From me? From everything. You're human. Your species resists change. You invented forks but still eat tacos with your hands. We're complex. You're messy. Same thing. She helped him up. The elevator blinked into existence behind them again, the doors opening with a ding that sounded oddly smug. David stepped inside. So what now? Back to Ronnie's and hope the space fascists haven't turned his house into a lava pool? Zephyra nodded. And then we prepare. The real ritual will require more than proximity and awkward jokes. He gave her a sideways glance. But the jokes help, right? She smiled. Immensely. As the elevator rose, the temple faded behind them, humming quietly to itself. The prophecy had begun. The resonance had chosen, and somewhere in the stars, a very old calendar marked one less day until everything changed forever. Ronnie's kitchen was full of conspiracy magnets and burning toast. The scent of something aggressively unidentifiable filled the air. David coughed and tried to wave it away, while Zephyra stood over the toaster with an expression of scientific curiosity. "It screamed," she said. "It's defective," Ronnie called from the living room. "Screamed once during a thunderstorm, and now it thinks it's haunted. I keep it around for atmosphere." David opened the fridge, stared inside, and closed it again. "I think your orange juice tried to threaten me. Don't make eye contact with the carton. It's old." Zephyra turned to David, her hands smudged with toaster soot. "The ritual is in 2 days. We'll need supplies." "Like what?" "A neural resonance stabilizer, 3 harmonic anchors, a vessel to project mutual memory fields, and—" Ronnie interrupted, holding up a whisk. "Will this work?" "No." "Just check," Zephyra continued. "We'll also need to encode your identity signature into a coalescence node. It's like a USB stick, but judgmental." David rubbed his temples. "Okay, right. Coalescence node, harmonic anchors. Is there a checklist? Can we get a checklist?" Zephyra pulled a glowing tablet from her bag and handed it to him. It immediately displayed a warning in bright red. "Warning, user unauthorized. Probable thumbs." David scowled. "It doesn't like me." "It's from a culture that evolved without opposable digits. They're very smug." Ronnie reappeared holding a small metallic orb. "I modified your scanner while you were gone. Gave it sarcasm filters and an emergency pizza beacon." David blinked. "Why?" "In case the ritual goes long." Zephyra took the orb and gave it a once-over. "You also programmed it to recognize Earth humor." "Yup. It's now fluent in sarcasm, irony, and dad jokes." The orb blinked. "Initiating humor mode. What do you call a group of musical aliens?" "A quartet straw." David winced. "Please delete that feature." Zephyra handed the orb back. "This will help with the ritual calibration, but we need a location, somewhere with atmospheric harmony and minimal surveillance." Ronnie raised a finger. "I know a place. Abandoned observatory outside of town. Used to be a commune for astrologers until they realized none of them could do math." "Perfect," Zephyra said. "Do they still have power?" "They have a backup generator. Runs on fermented root beer and moonlight." David looked skeptical. "That can't possibly be real." "It also powers my waffle iron. Don't question it." 2 hours later, they were packed and on the road again, this time in a borrowed RV covered in bumper stickers like "I brake for quasars" and "Ask me about my molecular spin." David drove. Zephyra monitored the scanners. Ronnie sat in the back testing goggles that made everything look like it was underwater. David glanced in the mirror. "Are we sure this ritual's going to work?" Slowly. "There's a 72% chance. That's not exactly reassuring. Would you prefer I lie?" "Honestly, a little," she shrugged. "Then you have nothing to worry about, statistically." Ronnie leaned forward. "What happens if it fails?" Zephyra looked out the window. "Then the energy balance of Elisari Prime will destabilize. The planet will enter a magnetic collapse spiral. Cities will sink. Oceans will reverse. My people will scatter across space like wayward glitter." David tightened his grip on the wheel. "You really have a talent for describing doom with sparkly metaphors." Ronnie nodded. "It's comforting, in a weird way." The observatory appeared just before sunset, a domed structure with peeling paint and a massive telescope that had long since stopped looking at anything but regret. They parked behind it and began unloading equipment. Resonance coils, alignment rods, emotional frequency readers, and a karaoke machine. David swore wasn't necessary. Zephyra insisted otherwise. "You can't engage in a ritual without vocal harmonization. It's tradition." David squinted. "You're making that up." "Only partially." They set up inside the main dome, sweeping aside dust and rogue squirrels. Ronnie rigged up the generator. The lights flickered on, casting weird shadows across the walls, like the observatory itself was holding its breath. Zephyra calibrated the ritual field. "We'll begin the initial sync in the morning. Tonight, you'll need to rest." David pulled out a folding cot. "Define rest? No screens, no distractions, no caffeine. You'll need to let your neural centers soften. he groaned. So you're saying I have to lie still and think about my feelings? Essentially. Cruel. That night, the wind howled around the dome like it knew secrets. Zephyra stood on the balcony, staring at the stars. David joined her, wrapped in a blanket and clutching a mug of something that claimed to be tea, but tasted like nostalgia and regret. You're quiet, she said. I'm about to take part in a galaxy-saving ritual with an alien ambassador who thinks my jokes are charmingly stupid. I don't have words for that. She tilted her head. Charming is accurate. You're not nervous? She considered. Terrified, but hiding it is part of the job. He sipped his tea. You're really okay with this, with bonding to me? I mean, you've got antenna ears and quantum degrees. I barely passed high school algebra. Zephyra's voice softened. The prophecy didn't choose intelligence or pedigree. It chose connection. That's not something you can fake, and besides, your brain does weird things. I like that. He smiled. Weird is my specialty. In the distance, the scanner blinked. David turned. We expecting company? Zephyra frowned. No. Ronnie emerged from the darkness, holding a blinking device. Guys, we've got a ship entering atmosphere, and it's not bringing snacks. David muttered. Let me guess. Capes and crystal molar implants. Zephyra's ears twitched. Operative Velis, Ronnie gulped. He's early. Zephyra straightened. Then we start the ritual early. David looked alarmed. We're not ready. We'll have to be. He can't interfere if the resonance has already begun. Ronnie scrambled to activate the field generator. I'll stall him. I've got a disco ball and a fake security badge. It'll confuse him for at least 8 minutes. David took Zephyra's hand. What do I do? Stand there, focus, and try not to think about raccoons. As the ritual platform lit up and the sky shimmered with unnatural light, David closed his eyes and whispered, No pressure. From above, a second ship descended. The final test was about to begin. The ritual platform flared to life with a sound that could only be described as a cosmic kazoo, and David's first thought was, I'm going to explode. His second thought was, at least I brushed. Zephyra stood across from him, calm and focused, though the tiny muscle near her left ear was twitching like it was trying to communicate in Morse code. Ronnie's voice crackled over the comms. Velis's ship just landed. I threw a smoke bomb at him. It might have been a deodorizer. Hard to tell. Label was in space Polish. Zephyra's voice echoed in David's mind. We begin now. Follow my lead. Do not sing unless instructed. I wasn't planning to. The karaoke machine suggests otherwise. The coils around the dice spun faster, generating a field of shimmering light that rose in pulsing rings. Symbols lit up beneath David's feet, some of which looked suspiciously like cats playing the violin. His head buzzed with static, like 1,000 radios tuning into the same nervous thought. Okay, David muttered aloud. Focus on the bond. Think warm thoughts. Buttered toast. Zephyra's ears. Wait, not like that. Zephyra snorted. I heard that? Yeah, I figured. The resonance lattice began to stabilize. Lights spun around them in synchronized patterns, mapping their energy fields, emotional signatures, and probably their favorite pizza toppings. David's knees wobbled as the bond deepened. He felt everything. Her memories, her pride, her fear, her guilt about that one time she knocked over a planetary relic and blamed a diplomat from Rigel Minor. He sent back his own. The sound of his dad's laughter, the ache of being ordinary, the strange, absurd joy of finding purpose in a mess of chaos and interstellar nonsense. The machine pulsed once, hard. The voice from the temple returned. Synchronicity threshold met. Final cohesion begins. Prepare for integration. Outside, a metallic crash echoed through the observatory. Ronnie's panicked voice followed. He's inside. He vaporized the disco ball. I repeat, the disco ball is down. Velis stormed into the dome, cloak billowing like he had a personal wind machine. Cease the ritual, he shouted. You are corrupting the unvetted species and a man who owns socks featuring historical sandwiches. David blinked. You looked through my suitcase? You are a risk to the galaxy's spiritual harmonics. Zephyra stepped forward. He is the resonance. You can't fight the prophecy. Velis raised a hand, powering up a weapon that looked like a tuba mated with a particle accelerator. I can try. Ronnie hurled a jar. It shattered against Velis's shoulder. Pickles flew everywhere. Not today, fancy pants! Ronnie yelled, ducking behind a telescope. The ritual platform surged with sudden energy. The bond snapped into full lock, and David felt his heart stutter as the universe folded into a single overwhelming idea. Connection. The voice echoed again. Cohesion complete. Energy stabilized. Restoration sequence initiated. A beam of light erupted from the platform, arcing through the roof of the observatory and into the stars. Somewhere, on a world half a galaxy away, clouds parted, oceans stilled, and cracked lands began to pulse with new life. Zephyra swayed, catching herself on David's arm. "We did it," he grinned. "So do I get a medal or a coupon or something? You get to stay alive and possibly eat alien pancakes." Valus staggered to his feet, dripping brine. This is an abomination. This connection is unorthodox, unrecorded, unrefined." Ronnie tased him with a jury-rigged hairdryer. The Elisari ship descended moments later, this one bearing neutral-colored flags and far fewer capes. A member of the High Tribunal stepped out, flanked by advisors and a confused-looking protocol bot wearing a bow tie. "Ambassador Zephyra," the Tribunal envoy said, "the stabilization has reached Elisari Prime. The climate core has corrected. The planet is safe, and we are intrigued." Zephyra nodded. "The ritual succeeded. This is David Collins. He is the conduit." The envoy examined David like he was a vending machine trying to sell philosophy. "He looks squishy." "I bruise easily," David said, "but I'm emotionally resilient. We shall monitor your progress. You are now a bonded ally of Elisari, with privileges and responsibilities." "Will I need to fill out forms?" "Oh yes, in triplicate." David sagged. "Of course." Later, after the tribunal left, after Valus was restrained and sent off to undergo something called mandatory humility recalibration, and after Ronnie had declared himself galactically verified, the observatory quieted again. David sat on the roof, legs dangling over the edge. Zephyra joined him, her long ears brushing his shoulder. "So," he said, "do I get to visit your planet now?" She nodded. "You'll need to learn the language, and not insult our moon. It's sensitive. I insulted it once and it still won't follow me on social media. I told you not to compare it to a dented cauliflower." He leaned back, watching the stars. "You know, before all this, I thought my life was fine, normal, predictable, suck. I was okay being a guy who translated manuals and overfed his plants. And now?" He looked at her. "Now I don't know who I am, but I know I'm not alone." She reached over and squeezed his hand. "You were never ordinary. You just needed the right frequency." He smiled. "So what now?" she smirked. "Now? We train your neural systems, teach you Elisari etiquette, and prepare you for official planetary introductions. Can I at least wear socks with aliens on them? As long as they don't depict me doing karaoke." "Too late," they laughed. And above them, the stars shifted ever so slightly, aligned now in ways no one had seen for millennia. Because once, an alien woman looked at a human man and knew nothing would ever be the same again. And she was absolutely right.